Well, as we are kicking off a brand new school year, many teachers finding themselves in some new classrooms. Teacher turnover, though, on the rise, according to a recent report. Joe Ripley looking into this and has more on how to address this problem.
It is a problem, Dan. About 1 in 7 teachers nationally are leaving the classroom or changing schools. That's the turnover rate, according to a study by the Learning Policy Institute. That equates to about 15% of teachers. And the reasons why the study says comes down to support, pay, of course, and workplace morale. Stacy Burrows fell in love with teaching as a fourth-generation educator.
It wasn't just about teaching, it was about building relationships and being able to know the resources to address the holistic needs of students.
Burrows served 20 years in education, working both in Georgia and South Carolina.
Teacher burnout, low morale, those are real concerns.
And those concerns are driving teachers out of the classroom. A report by the Learning Policy Institute this year found that teacher turnover is higher now than in the 90s, with around 1 in 7 public school teachers either changing schools or leaving teaching altogether.
We just don't deal with academics. We deal with emotions, psychology, the needs of students.
Fidelia Turner is president of the Georgia Federation of Teachers. She says student behavior, politics, and school administration, being underpaid, and taking on more responsibility have all led to higher turnover.
To make sure that that translates to the economic welfare and the mental welfare and the stability of teachers. Because after all, somebody got to look out for teachers.
Teacher turnover has led to staff shortages, higher costs for schools and families, and learning challenges for students. Gwinnett County Public Schools and Atlanta Public Schools tout a 90% or more retention rate. Clayton County Public Schools told 11 Alive it's filled about 97% of its teacher vacancies, but the DeKalb County School District still had about 78 teacher vacancies at the start of the school year. As for Burrows, she says she'd have to think long and hard about whether to return to the classroom.
To have a hands-on in the coaching and the supporting of new teachers, I think would make a tremendous difference.
The Learning Policy Institute, teachers of color actually experienced higher turnover rates. The report found that replacing a teacher could cost around $12,000 for a smaller school district, and Dan, more than $25,000 for a larger one.
Wow, incredible. It's a problem. And I was actually reading an op-ed in the Washington Post about this with somebody who had some ideas on how to fix it. He runs a nonprofit dealing with education. He said you really need to be deliberate about recruiting and find young people who are ready and willing to make a social impact in their community, potentially a community that they grew up in, because they understand the kids. They were once one of them.
I think that's brilliant. I think to another point that Stacy Burrows was making when I chatted with her, she says teachers coming out nowadays aren't experienced enough. I mean, they're being thrown in the deep end and being asked to take on so much responsibility, not to mention the rise of things like AI and the tech revolution. We're starting to see districts like Atlanta Public Schools actually roll back the screen time in an attempt to, quote, get back to basics, get kids learning again, upping their reading and math skills. This is something that teachers I really commiserate with them, because they have to deal with so much, and it is a calling. We've said that time and time again, but I love that, the teachers who are in the classrooms right now, you all are soldiers, you all are troopers, and we do appreciate you. But it's more than that appreciation. It's about these teachers actually feeling that appreciation when it comes to pay, when it comes to workplace culture and morale, and being respected. And it's unfortunate that we're seeing the data on the rise like we are seeing. Hopefully we can reverse that trend.
This op-ed I mentioned, this is a former teacher. He said, during my first month in the role, I cried every day. It can be extremely isolating at the beginning, especially for new teachers, and a lot of times they just don't have the chance to succeed. So hopefully with the start of this conversation, we can get to the bottom of this.
I hope so. There's still a lot of good veteran teachers out there, Dan, and we need those veterans to stay where you can and teach the younger generation too, so that we can nip this thing in the bud.
All right, Joe Ripley, thank you, sir.